Hi, my name is Marco Bronzini. I'm a graduate of the Royal Academy of Arts in London. Thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. I apologize for my voice. I have a bit of a cold. Speaking about cold, today we're going to be doing a snow scene. So let's start that. This is a reference, lovely snow scene from the Seven Mountains in the south of France. A very sunny day, so this should be a very exciting project. All right, so today we have a permanent green, French ultramarine, cerulean blue, permanent rose, raw sienna, cad yellow light, and some titanium white. Not many colors because obviously it's a snow scene, so there are fewer colors. There are perhaps fewer colors, but because it's a snow scene, but you'd be amazed how many colors there are in the snow. Okay, so this is again a reference. Let's get started. And by the way, this is a vertical landscape. So a landscape can be horizontal or vertical. Okay. All right, let's get started with this. So as usual, we're going to make just a few little lines. I'm going to use my ultramarine, and we're going to start establishing a composition. This is really, really nice, very simple, but quite beautiful. So this house is right up here. Nice perspective on that. Right here. As I was saying, when you think of snow, you think, well, I'm going to use pure white, but of course, you should never do that. As I mentioned in many of my videos before. So you're warned, be careful about the white. It's not the thing to do here. All right, so this is just to establish the composition right here. Basically right there. Few angles, and things can change, nothing is written in stone. Just a few lines in here. So nice depth right there. Beautiful blue sky, beautiful blue shadows in here. Very pretty indeed. Right. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to establish the snow, and I'm not going to paint all the snow and then stick the shadow on top of it. The shadow is going to be its own identity, if you will. All right, so for the shadow, I mix a little bit of ultramarine, some permanent rose, a touch of white, and we're going to establish the shadow right in here. And again, I repeat again, because I said in all my videos are made as a guide. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. This is just to guide you in becoming a better painter. I don't expect you to paint like me or anybody else. Just paint like you. Just do your own thing. This is just a guide, so you get an idea of the process of painting, which is very important. So the shadow, again, has a lot of blue, but it has a lot of purple as well in it. It's kind of nice right in here. It'll make sense once I got the snow against it, the sunny side of the snow. And again, my canvas is primed with sort of a pale grayish, sort of warm color right there. Again, we don't want to paint on white if we can avoid that. It's always best. All right, let's leave that like that for the moment. All right, now we're going to take another brush, a bit of liquid. I'm going to put a little bit of white in there. And I'm going to put a trace of the raw sienna, just to knock down that white. And a little bit of the permanent rose, just like that. And we're going to slap some right on there. Very bold. Okay, don't be scared of the canvas. Let the canvas be scared of you. All right, just put some paint in there. A little further back, I add a little bit of blue because the snow is a little cooler back there. Remember, warm colors, cool colors. Because in this case, you got a shadow, so that's a cool color. That's obviously the exception to the rule. Right in here, there. All right, and then now I'm going to go to the sky. Now the sky has some cerulean blue. Got a little bit of white as well in there. And I'm going to put a little bit of the sienna as well, just to warm that up. All right, see what we got. Should be radically different than the shadow. Very different colors. Almost like a turquoise color down there. So I'm putting a little of the cad yellow light, give it that sort of turquoise cast, if you will. And then slowly you see the painting take shape. No detail, no detail. All right, let's get some dark color up here. Because the sky, as I mentioned before, is darker at the top. This is a mixture of ultramarine and the cerulean as well. And with the meat right here, I'm adding a little bit more cerulean, and they can meet right in the center right here. Right there, okay. And then a little bit more color in here. Right there. Then we can return to the sky later on. This is just the beginning. All right, now I'm gonna hit the house, and I'm gonna put back to the sienna here. I'm gonna put a little bit of cad yellow light, some white, a little bit of crimson, like that. Let's see what that looks like here. The yellow, of course, the yellow and the blue, I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just big to be painted. All right, so to create the texture of the old stone, we don't want to start drawing stone. We're just blocking some colors in, and when we come back for day 2, this is a 2-day painting, by the way. But I think you've been enjoying my video, so I'm gonna stay with that format. By the way, I thank everyone for all the views. It's very exciting. All right, so this is just, as I was saying, just a basic color to establish what things are. Okay, now there's a tree in here, which I'm going to do now. I'm going to sort of establish the tree, and I'm going to paint the shadow around it. Okay, so you say, why you not painting the shadow first and putting the tree on top of it? Well, because for the quality of the painting. Remember a difference between an illustration and a fine art painting, like an impressionist. You do it all together. And the work that comes into it, that's the quality of the painting. That's what we want the painting to look like. All right, so I'm going to establish just a few little lines in the tree. Just to get it going. It's going to be right in here. Some branches right in there. A lot of good stuff in here coming. There. That will do. And now we're going to get into the shadow of the house. All right, I zoomed in a little bit so you can see what we're doing next here. Wonderful contrast between the sunlight and the space in the shadow. So now what we're going to do, we're kind of painting around the branches a little bit. Right there. I got a lot of colors in there. There's even some green in there. There's all kinds of colors. The perspective of the house, because of the angle, this roof looks lower than that side, so we want to make sure we get that. That's, as far as drawing is concerned. And I hope all of you are drawing, by the way. Drawing is very important. I'd say drawing is the bedrock on which everything is built. So if you got the opportunity to draw as often as you can. It'll make you a better painter. Doesn't matter if you're abstract or figurative. The better you are drawing, the better painter you'll be. It's that simple. Right here. Right, then I'm going to go back in the tree itself. It's okay to use smaller brushes when called for. Try not to overuse them, but sometimes you need to use a small brush. And in this case, is what we want. Doesn't mean the painting is going to be tight. Painting is going to be very loose. We want to use smaller brushes whenever we can. It's okay. I'm adding all this in here. A lot of stuff in here, a lot of branches, a lot of intertwine, which is good. So what we want. And then already we go right into the sky. Cut right into the sky, right in here. And then later on, we're going to have such fun with this. At least I am. I hope you are. All right, right in here is a beautiful branch right there. Extends almost all the way to the canvas. Right here. Right, now we can leave that space alone. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And we're going to deal a little bit more with the house, some shutters and things there. I mentioned many times, remember to mix at least 3 colors. Get your colors nice and complex, rich. So 3 colors is a good start. There's a few shutters right there. This is obviously an old farm, nothing luxurious about it, but a beautiful subject for painting. Right, there's a window right here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. There, here we go. So don't get lost. Okay, I'm going to lower down a little bit. So it's okay to rearrange the painting as you go. I need that line a little bit lower down, so I'm lowering it down right in there. Sort of an entrance of a barn right there. Window here, little window there. No details, no details. There. Yeah. All right, I'm going to return to the shadow. I retouched the house a little bit. The drawing was a little bit off. So, you can do that with oil painting. Watercolors, you can't really do that. But with oil, you can keep retouching until you got exactly what you want. I want to return to the shadow here. I want to add a little bit more depth in there before we go any further. Right in here. And I also want to introduce there's a bit of rock, bit of grass right in front here, which I think will add to the perspective very nicely. Right there. So using the permanent green, I'm using some crimson as well, a permanent rose rather, sorry. Make a nice deep color, a little bit of ultramarine. And then we're going to put it right in here. Nice contrast right there. Just block that as best you can. I don't like living in the snow, but I love painting the snow. It just makes everything so peaceful, so beautiful. But once I've painted it, get me out of here. But it's nice to paint there. All right, some lovely colors in there later on. All right, back in the snow, right in here, with some nice mixture going on already here. So this is a little, not quite full sun in here. Right there. Right in here. And then we're going to deal with something very important in a second. I'm going to tell you. A lot of beginners miss that. It's very important. The section right in here, that color right there is called reflective light and bouncing off that color right there, bouncing off into the shadow. And what that does, it gives you the anatomy of the terrain. So it goes this way, it goes in and out like that. So that's very important to get that properly established. All right, so we're going to put a line right in here, right there, there. It'll make sense in a minute. Little bit of more ultramarine on my palette. And again, I mentioned this before. Put your colors wherever you like. You know, there are enough rules as it is. Put it whatever you like, whatever feels good. You know, there doesn't really matter. Okay, so we're establishing that shadow right there. Somewhere it's very sharp. Other places it's not so sharp. Like this, you can blend that a little bit. All right, and now we're going to have this part right here, which is the reflective light I was talking about. So it has a little bit more of a sort of a greenish cast to it, so we're going to put a little bit of cerulean in there. It's not quite the same color, so it's right in here. And today we're just establishing that, and when we return, we'll finish it up properly. But today we're just putting those colors in there, just to create that reflective light, which is very important. Right there. And we can do a little bit of blending in there. Don't overblend, but you can do a little bit of blending right there. There, here. A couple of touches there. Right here. Okay, let's hit the distance right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit in there. There, and you can see some wonderful distance back there. Way, way, way back. And you know, I like painting the distance. It gives great depth. All right, so let's do some snow back there. So it starts right in here. Some fields back there. You don't want to be too specific, but you know, you want to establish what's there. Right in here. There's a tree here eventually, which we'll deal with in due course. Right in here. Couple of tree trunk right there. And then there's a lovely shadow from the house. So let's get there. The ultramarine. A little bit of cerulean in there. It's a very strong shadow. We want to establish that. It's right here, right there. Right here. And this will have, we'll put a little bit more life into it later on. When it's dry, we'll come back to that and really make that really nice. All right, I'm going to return right in here now. We're going to establish some of those rocks, rock formation right there. Right in there. Um, let's go down to there. There's a lovely shape right there. Very specific right there. Very sharp angles. Some rocks in here, which will become rocks later on. Today we're just doing this. And then there's a sort of lovely light right in here. All right, let's go back into the shadow here. There's a very sharp contrast between the light and the shadow of the house, really strong light. So we got to really establish that properly. Make it nice and sharp, like there's stones in there. And again, paint around the tree right here, best you can. Very dark, really dark in here, really nice. There. Yeah. And we keep blocking this best you can. Don't worry if it looks like a mess, it's fine. Just keep doing that. Okay? A little bit deeper down in here. All right, back into the house. Try to create some of those effects. Building up some texture right there. I'm going to reintroduce that roof up there. Okay, let me see that. It's kind of doesn't show much because of the perspective, but the little bit that's shown, it's important. So we got to make sure we get that right. It gets very narrow down in here. All right, we're going to leave that dry. There is a kind of a chimney there, so I might as well put that in. Right in here, it's kind of nice. There. Doesn't being spend too much time on there. All right. Let's go back in the snow right in here. I want to put more paint here. All right, a little bit more work on that snow. We want to really apply the paint nice and thick here. Right in there. A little blue at the back. Give that perspective, that depth. Sort of a little shadow right there. Actually runs right into that shadow right in here. Nice there. A few things in here. All right, I put on a little bit more titanium white here. Now, snow obviously doesn't come out of the white tube, okay? We've established there. But there is white, obviously, you have to use white. This is not a summer scene. There is white in there. But they're all blending with other colors. Okay, don't ever use pure white. Here, and there's a nice, lovely area right here coming down. It kind of takes you out of the canvas, which is nice, right in there, very strong. This is a little bluer right there, so I'm going to put a little bit more mycelium here. The section is a little bluer, so it's not, such a direct sunlight. So it's a little softer right there. Some shadows in here. The shadow one more time in here. Right. I'm going to reestablish this section here. Make sure that's a nice angle right there. And that goes up right into this. This would be really nice when it's dry. We can come back on that and really build up. Let me spend a little bit of time on that roof one more time, and then we'll probably be good for the day. There's another actually chimney back there, which we might as well put it in, right? It's right there. And there's some nice little sort of add some things on the roof right here. Right, let's reestablish those doors properly, the shutters of this beautiful barn, made of stone. And there's a tree way over there, which I think it might be nice to close the canvas with, put a few branches in there. So we're gonna establish that eventually. It's kind of there, which is kind of nice. Some shadows in here. There. I want to review that one more time. And I think that will be it for today. I know I keep repeating that, but bear with me. Some nice colors in here. I don't want to miss. Right there, right in here. All right. Yeah, let's spend 2 more minutes here. Sorry, bear with me. I'm going to block a few more of those lines right here. There. I think that's okay right there. Right here. Okay, I think this will do for today. Day one of day two of 2 days rather. This will be over a 2-day period. And again, the thing to take from that is how colorful snow is, especially in the sunlight. Those blue shadows are amazing, and with the yellow of the house, it's a great subject. So thank you for joining me, and again, one more time, thank you for all your comments and your likes and all those wonderful views I have. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad I'm making a difference in your work. So keep watching, keep commenting. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you for day 2. Thank you.